Welcome to the KVJ After the Show podcast.
Kevin's eyes look insane, but he's got new hair. Virginia is a witch, and she farts in her chair. Jason is a spaz who's got an old man's ass. Welcome to the After the Show podcast.
Alrighty, hello and welcome to the KVJ After the Show podcast. Happy Wednesday. What the heck is going on, everybody?
Happy hump day.
Ooh, man, oh man. Another beautiful day here in South Florida. And I even heard on the national news today, they said, unless you're in South Florida, you really don't have good weather anywhere. Maybe here in Southern California, maybe Phoenix today, but that's about it. They got a pretty nasty little storm that's been going through the plains, and now it's heading up through the East Coast. So lots of snow and ice and all that kind of good stuff. So, boy, you know, it just has been wearing on, too, because I was up there in November around Thanksgiving, and it was bitterly cold then. Man, I'm telling you, spring break might be crazy this year because I have a feeling people up north, they've been going through it. It's not been a nice winter if you live up there. Sometimes they're mild. It's not that big a deal, but this winter I think has been kind of nasty. Really cold, terrible stuff.
They're going to need to get away and go someplace warm and go nutty.
Yeah, they're going to have to light Miami Beach on fire, I think. That's the only thing that exercises that demon.
Magnolia and her crew from FSU are going to Mexico.
Really? And where?
I don't know how I feel about that.
You know what? I think you should have mixed feelings.
I do.
Yeah.
I was very vocal. I'm like, anybody ever heard of Natalie Holloway around here? You guys know that name? And they're like, no, who's that? I'm like, look it up.
Was she Aruba?
Yes, Aruba, not Mexico.
But
still, it's the concept I want them to be familiar with.
Right.
That, like, when you go to other countries and you go off with people or you wander around and you're not chaperoned, it could be dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How many girls are going with her?
I think it's a gaggle. I think it's a large number of her sorority sisters.
And do you know exactly, is it Tulum, Cancun?
I think it's Cancun.
Okay. Cancun might be the safest. I know Tulum is very popular, but the thing about Tulum with that is a lot of those touristy destinations in Mexico, and I've learned this just from watching the news and also watching Lioness, my TV show, is that some of these resort towns, there's no definite cartel control. Because if you look in Mexico, there's like 4 or 5 different cartels that have their own little section on the border that they kind of control that, and that's pretty well settled. But Tulum and some of these other places, it's not in one definite cartel's control, and so they have continual battles that's going on. And I think I know of at least 2 stories where there have been Americans or people at resorts and cartel members have come up on jet skis with machine guns or they were unloading into the resort.
Which, by the way, doing a jet ski or riding a jet ski is hard enough. Adding a gun to it, that's not easy to do.
Yeah, no
They're
doubt.
skilled.
Very skilled.
They are, yeah.
We're all impressed.
I'm just saying it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, now my daughter, she went, I think, to Cancun with some friends, and they kept themselves pretty much to just staying inside of the resort, which I think is what's recommended.
It's great up until the guy coming ashore with the gun and the jet ski.
And that's the thing about it. Now, like I said, I think you can maybe find, if I remember right, there's 2 different times that's happened here, and that's, you know, not been like in the same week.
And not every guy on a jet ski with a gun is going to be as good as the other one. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a
sliding scale of accuracy.
Absolutely. Even just holding up the gun and trying to, not everyone's going to be able to be on the same page on that. There's going to be some people that are better than that.
The 2 other stories that make me concerned about those kind of trips, and this would just even be for myself, is you recently had that family that got the extreme food poisoning, and 2 of the 4 family members died, and that's in the Dominican.
Yeah.
So it's not the same place, to be fair.
I did see that.
But then the other one is I think it was a family, and maybe there's another story too, where somebody or a couple people, maybe the couple had died of the carbon monoxide poisoning that had happened. They were in a resort, and they didn't know it. They were asleep, and I guess there wasn't a detector going on, and that's the problem that I have with going sometimes to different countries is they may not have the same standards that we have in America. They may not have the same checks and balances and regulations to have those kind of detectors and the such. And the other thing too, when you're in America, with American courts, you can sue the hell out of somebody. So if something does happen, there's accountability. How that happens if a resort in the Dominican kills half of your family with food poisoning, what is your recourse on that?
Do they just go, oh, sorry?
Yeah.
Come sue us in a Dominican court. Let us know how that turns out for you.
Yeah. Do they try to give you a free meal after?
Now, I still think that your chance of having anything bad go on is very slim. I think if you go in aware and you do your research and all that, I think it's fine. I don't think it's going to be an issue. But, yeah, those are the kind of stories that they do jump out and like little splinters are in your brain. I know what it's like being as a parent. I would have preferred my daughter to not have gone, but, she's an adult. She gets to make those decisions, and she went and everything was good. And so I'm happy. But I did ask her questions and held her accountable and be like, hey, did you think of this? If you thought of that? And so.
Maggie's going to be, 19 or 20 this year?
20.
Wow.
Yeah.
She'll be 20 in May, right after spring break.
Yeah. But, everybody matures at a different age, and Mags is very mature. But I know myself, man, I shouldn't have been off in other countries when I was 20. I was very immature until I was about 50.
And I think the hard part for me is, all of these little sorority girls, they've all lived in a bubble their whole lives.
Yeah, right.
They've never had to be in a situation where things went sideways.
Mm-hmm. They've seen the world, but they've seen it on TikTok.
Yeah, they've never seen the world outside of mommy and daddy protecting you. You've been in a little safety bubble, especially sorority girls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just worry that, she's going to a place and I'm not going to be there. I'm like, why couldn't you just go to Orlando?
Right.
Why couldn't you go to Hilton Head?
This is more exotic. It's fun. And I think that for the most part, the infrastructure is set up where even the softest of the soft, if they get there to the airport, they have the ride to the resort. You stay on the resort. You don't go in town to go to the nightclubs. That's when you don't know when something might wind up in your drink or whatever.
That's what she promised me, that she's not leaving the resort. That all the ground transportation is set up. They travel as a group. They move as a group. I'm not well.
Yeah.
I'm not good. I'm not good with it. I'm not okay.
Yeah. So we'll see. But kids will be kids. It's what they want to do.
I know.
Did you do spring break when you were in college, Virginia?
I did, but I did Destin, the Redneck Riviera.
Okay, yeah.
I did too. That was the first time I ever drank with my freshman year in college was spring break. And I was riding the bench. I was out there out in Marianna, Florida. And I'm going, man, I'm just so fucking bored out here. And I'm dying on the bench. And everyone was going to Panama City. And they go, Penny, you want to go with us? We're going to be drinking. I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Why not? And they gave me a beer. I drank half of it. And it tasted like shit. But boy, oh boy, I didn't have a care in the world. I felt so relaxed.
Okay, yeah.
I said, y'all, buy me the fruity shit. And they got me fruit drinks, like the fruit alcohol.
Yeah.
And I got twisted.
She's a Boone's Farm girl.
And the first time I drank, I'm not even kidding you, I was on stage hosting a wet t-shirt contest. I don't know how it happened, but I was on stage. It was amazing. It was like
how
a
it
movie.
happened was you found your calling.
It was weird. I just was in the mix of shit all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Haven't got off the stage since.
You're right.
Yeah. RJ said a lot of the FSU kids go to Panama City or to Destin.
Yeah, that's where we would go. Destin, not so much, but Panama City was where it was at, man.
We loved Club La Vila.
Oh, yeah.
Party with thousands.
I couldn't believe that when I went there. I'm like, what? This is Club La Vila? It was pretty amazing.
It is pretty amazing. Back in the day, I mean, does it still look like that?
I don't know, but the beaches were packed. Everyone was having a great time. It seemed like such a fun time. I don't know. Is it still like that out there?
It was like that in the mid 90s still, because I went back with Ace and TJ.
Okay.
We went to Club La Vila. We did
Okay.
spring break as grown-ups.
Oh, that's fun.
And it was pretty funny just to go see all those same areas that we raged in when I was, back in like high school, and maybe when I was a little young to be going, when I was like 15 or 16. I probably shouldn't have gone to spring break.
Did you end up going to Panama City ever, Kev?
No, I've never been there. I have not really done the Panhandle.
I don't think you're missing much as an adult. I don't know why you'd even fucking go unless you want to go look at some water.
I mean, if you went when you were like that age, though, it would have been cool.
Yeah.
Because it's just nothing but crazy kids, crazy fun.
Yeah, I would go. I mean, it looks beautiful. You had talked, Magnolia told you about that town, that strip, One the Mile, or
Oh, yeah.
whatever that name was. And I looked that up a little bit, and that looked lovely, and it's great. But, I mean, the Panhandle is really far away.
It is.
I mean, just getting to Tallahassee, which I've been there for a Florida State game, that's what, 7 hours?
6.5 hours
Yeah.
with no traffic.
And I was an hour west of Tallahassee, so it would take me 7-8 hours to get there sometimes.
So I've just never had any reason to go there for the beach. So I haven't been there. I would, because it does look lovely.
You might have missed your window, unless you want to fuck up some Club La
Yeah,
Vila.
I don't know what would ever drag me to that part of the world.
Is they even there still, Club La Vila?
That's a great question. I would love to know if Club La Vila is still there.
They dubbed themselves as the biggest bar, I think, in the country.
Party with thousands.
Yeah, I think is there a place called Florabama?
Yes.
Yes, there is I went to that because we evacuated for one of the hurricanes.
Okay.
And went to that restaurant, whatever, half of it's in Florida, half of it's in Alabama.
Right, yeah. So I think I've heard of. I don't think I've, other than you guys talking about the Club La Vila, I've not heard of.
Yep, it just went to their website. Unfortunately, we will not be opening again this season, and then it says permanently closed.
Oh.
Okay.
Damn.
That's a shame.
Didn't make it, huh?
They had a big pool in the middle. I
Yeah.
think it probably led the league in STDs.
There was a pool, and then there was like catwalks over like the pool area, so you could come down these stairs. There was a balcony on the top, and then you came down the stairs, and there was layers and alcoves,
And it basically-
then stages built
Oh,
in.
that's cool,
It was
yeah.
really cool.
They had a chlamydia pool where if you sat there long enough,
Yeah.
you would get chlamydia.
Chlamydia pool, herpes hot tub.
I mean, nothing says grossness more than drunk people in water at a club all day.
You're such an
Yeah.
old man.
Dude, I've always thought fucking community pools were disgusting, and I've seen some shit.
Yeah.
In spring break, it's a way of life, man.
Literally, I've seen some shit in these community pools.
I think if you just have a good group with you and you have the understanding that we're looking out for each other, I think it's more having that concept than necessarily where you go when it comes to some of these resort destination locations. I think you'll probably be fine with any of those. But, anytime you mix massive amounts of alcohol, and if somebody is not watching out for their friends, they wander off, you could get into trouble in Fort Lauderdale or Delray Beach or wherever under those same kind of circumstances.
You're right.
Monsters live everywhere, Virginia.
I
That's
know.
true. Yeah.
This is why,
You
If
trust
you-
your group of friends?
I do trust her group
Okay.
of friends. I
Yeah.
do. I think these girls look out for each other. A few of them are coming to Mardi Gras. I know a few of the girls that she travels with and hangs with, and they're really nice, and they're not nearly as crazy as my friends and I were in college.
Okay.
What was the girl's name that was being Lizard? Who's the one that was putting lizards in Mag's bed?
Oh,
Was it-
you're
what was
talking
her
about
nickname?
Cricket.
Cricket.
Cricket's out of the picture.
All right, just making
So
sure.
Cricket was the roommate last year that would put crickets in people's food
Okay.
and bed.
So fucked up.
So fucked up.
That shit. They don't play that shit in sororities.
No, they would kick Cricket out. She wouldn't make it.
No, she would not.
That was in a private apartment situation. And even then, like, what? Like, you're insane.
Yeah.
Who puts crickets in people's food and in their bed?
Someone who's struggling with something. They're
Terrorist.
they need to-
Yeah. That girl's, I think, trying to, I don't know, compensate for other problems she's got in her life.
Yeah, she definitely was
Just don't know how to
problematic.
process.
She had issues.
There was a story that I saw today. have a lot of the information, but it was on, I think it was the NBC National News this morning. Have you heard the story about the Zizians?
Who?
I thought Bird might be into this more.
I would be into it. I don't know what it is, though, but I can tell I'm going to be into it.
It's got a weird name. He loves it.
You fascinated by killer cults?
I'm in. Let's
Okay.
go.
I figured I'd have you at killer cults.
It's everything he loves.
Yeah, I think they're still putting the story together. It's this 34-year-old Jack Lasota. He goes by the name Ziz, and he is the leader of a cult-like group that are called the Zizians because they follow Ziz.
Got it.
They've been tied to 6 killings.
Oh, no.
And he was denied bail in a Maryland court. Arrested with 2 others, they faced charges after being caught with firearms. A former NASA intern turned radical ideologue, Ziz, faked her death in 2022 and built a violent following.
Oh, Ziz is a she.
I guess so.
Huh.
Linked to murders across multiple states, the group's crimes include a landlord's killing in California, the execution of Zajko's parents, and a Vermont shootout that killed a border agent. Did you hear the story about the border agent that had died not long ago? That was at the hands of the Zizians.
Wow.
I guess Ziz's ideology stems from a failed attempt to break into Silicon Valley, evolving into anarchist extremism. And the group is known to wear robes and fox masks. This was at an AI retreat.
It's crazy that a cult isn't ending well.
Robes and fox masks? That's horrifying.
Well, you got all the makings of a killer doomsday cult. They always have some kind of weird garb. They've got a weird leader with a weird name. They murder people for weird reasons.
Has there ever been a time where someone started up a cult and it ended great, prosperous, everyone's doing well?
You don't really hear those stories.
You don't hear those stories ever.
A 2019 protest escalated into a police raid, marking the start of her radicalization. Her group lived on a tugboat and later in an RV park, where a dispute led to the fatal shooting of one of their members.
Guarantee you, if you look into it, there's a fuck ton of sex going on with everybody. I'd bet my face on it. If you dug deep.
Authorities suspect a broader network and continue investigating with Ziz at the center of the case.
See, I think that happens a lot when you have a man in charge. He's fucking everybody, including the women and children and children's children. But I think if you have a woman in charge, it's not going to be as big of a fuck fest.
Let's not turn this into a gender war. And secondly, you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to this stuff. I'm telling you.
Whatever.
You think that just because you don't like sex doesn't mean other women doesn't like sex.
I'm not saying that I don't like sex. I'm saying that in the whole realm of things,
You don't know what you're talking
the
about.
guys that run it are the ones that fuck everything.
When it comes to cult, like whether it's a woman or a man running the cult,
you think Ziz was throwing that pee?
I'm just saying, in the history of cults, whoever, doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman leading it, a lot of weird sex shit tends to happen.
Kevin, do you have anything in there about Ziz just turning it out sexually?
Don't have that yet. I think this story's still relatively new because, like I said, I only saw it on the NBC News. ABC wasn't covered. That's the 2 networks I watch. I've seen some blurs, but I don't think that they fully uncovered everything that's gone on. They just right now have Ziz tied to these 6 murders. They've denied bail to Ziz because they want to keep Ziz there.
She'll murder, but she won't have a fuck fest, Kev, because women don't like sex.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they do it like the men do it. I just don't think they run it that way.
Well, of course you don't, because you hate men.
There are some interesting similarities on, if you want to go with that angle. America's had some very interesting cults, and the ends have not been very good for many of them. Now, the one that you're talking about where the leader is the dude and he's screwing everybody, that's probably the Branch Davidians. And that was the one that had David Koresh.
Yeah.
They've done specials on him.
He liked a bone.
Yeah, and apparently there was grooming and all that kind of stuff that was going on. And then that's why, if you remember the story back in 1993, that's why the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms attempted to go into the compound. You might remember how that went. It was that 51-day standoff there in Waco.
Oh, yeah.
Killed 4 Branch Davidians, and 2 other members were killed inside the compound by cult members.
Oh.
I guess it had gone south. 76 members of Koresh's group, including many children, died in the fire that was set there that erupted during the siege.
Crazy.
And what I forgot about until I went to Oklahoma City last week was it was actually that Branch Davidian raid that angered Timothy McVeigh so much that he went and bombed the courthouse in Oklahoma City.
Wow, that was connected?
That was what inspired him. Yeah, I think he had been in the military and he thought that the government was too, that they should have kept their nose out of it. And so it was, his act basically was a protest against government overreach.
What was
stemming from that?
What was the case where everyone drank the Kool-Aid and died? Because that was a big one.
That was the Heaven's Gate cult.
And I thought a lot of people died on that one.
Yeah, now this is an interesting one. The Heaven's Gate members believed that they would ascend to heaven while alive aboard a UFO on the tail of the comet Hale-Bopp.
Just say it out
Well,
loud.
I mean, these stories are so nutty. They really are.
You really got talked into you were going to ride a comet.
Like, what the hell are we doing? I mean, even the Zizians, you're wearing robes and fox masks at an AI convention?
And what's crazy is it's not like you're convincing 2 or 3 people. You've
Yes.
got a whole group, like a large group of people who are following into your horse
The
shit.
Zizians are a radical, leftist, vegan,
That's right. I
trans,
forgot the vegan angle.
militant cult. That is so many things. Radical, leftist, trans, vegan, militant. Like what else?
who only ride bikes. It's like you throw in all these bizarre little, like, what?
Which one is that one you just read, Virginia?
This is the one that Kevin was just talking about with
Yeah.
the chick.
Yeah, that's
Gaia.
the Zizians. That's the newer one, and that's where I think they're just now starting to dig up everything the Zizians have done. And so this is going to be our latest killer cult.
But the chick might be trans, which all bets are off.
I know. I saw that photo. That's why when you said the she, I was like, well, I saw the photo. I thought it was a he. So, yeah. So then
I think it says trans,
Okay.
vegan, militant,
Good
leftist,
heavens.
radical.
God, that's a lot
All
on your
of that.
resume.
That's a lot.
That's a lot on your resume. If you're applying for a job, you're like, okay, so you're radical, you're vegan.
I stand by my
Trans?
statement. Cults, when you dig deep, there's going to be some weird sex stuff going on. And every cult, I think,
Maybe.
I believe
you know
that.
what? Maybe there is.
The one I was just reading off here, the Heaven's Gate, that's the one that I don't know that there was weird sexual stuff on that one. Now, what they were into was the UFO stuff. At least in any of the write-ups I read about it, there wasn't anything
They
sexual.
wanted to ride a comet, not ride that D.
Yeah, I think that was it.
I'm going deeper in.
Jay Bird wants it to be about sex.
No, I'm going deeper. I'm doing a deeper dive.
You are
Okay.
sex hopeful.
Yeah, there might be there. I didn't see it in my, I just did during the show, I was doing a little research on it, so I haven't done a deep dive on it. But it says they came to believe that the body was merely a container or vehicle for the soul and that their consciousness would be transferred to next level bodies upon death. So on March 26 of 1997, 39 active members committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
The group purchased alien abduction insurance that would cover up to 50 members and would pay out $1 million per person. The policy covered abduction, impregnation, or death by aliens. Who the hell is selling insurance policies against that? What the fuck? Like, these are the craziest stories.
Can you still buy an insurance policy against alien abduction?
I don't know. Like,
I feel like it'd be a good gift for somebody for their birthday. She would love alien abduction insurance with all the proper paperwork.
I would be tickled pink having that. Of course I would love that.
I mean, these stories are all like Mad Libs. They're so crazy. So with the Heaven's Gate members, to kill themselves, members took phenobarbital mixed with applesauce or pudding, depending upon what you preferred.
Ugh, the last thing you ate was pudding?
No, and then they washed it down with vodka.
Okay, that's not
Okay,
that bad.
all right.
It's not that bad of a party.
So after ingesting the mix, they secured plastic bags around their heads to induce asphyxiation. All 39 were dressed in identical black shirts and sweatpants.
With Nikes.
Yep, brand new black and white Nike Decades athletic shoes and armband patches reading Heaven's Gate Away Team. One of the many instances of the group's use of the terms of Star Trek. So they're into Star Trek. Is like, what the fuck?
Are you pumped if you're Nike? Is this good? Is this a good pub?
I mean, you did sell quite a.
Well, look at Virginia. Look at the recall on that.
That's what I'm
They
saying.
all had Nikes on.
I mean, you're going back over 25 years, and Virginia remembers the Nikes.
And
When you want to run and catch a comet,
Yeah.
you wear a Nike.
You wear a Nike.
and their slogan, just do it.
Each member carried a $5 bill and 3 quarters in their pockets.
In case they ran across a snack machine on Mars.
It had some kind of maybe reference to Mark Twain or something along those lines. But it says after a member died, then a living member would arrange the body by removing the plastic bag from the person's head, followed by posing the body so that it laid neatly in its own bed with faces and torsos covered by a square purple cloth for privacy.
Purple shroud.
Right, you remember that, the purple shrouds.
Yes.
That was the Heaven's Gate cult.
That was weird.
Yeah, I mean, so that was nuts. And they said some of the other weird ones that America's had, the LSD Brotherhood cult, the Koreshian Unity cult, the People's Temple, and then, of course, the Manson family cult.
That one was fucked up. And there's rumors that he gave everyone drugs and he didn't take the drugs, so he could have them under his control more.
Okay.
What?
Now, I'm not sure that would be every single time, but maybe during his teachings.
Right.
I'm sure old Charlie liked to do the drugs when he was porking and doing all that stuff, because that was a sex cult, by the way. Everyone was.
And they said what was unique about Manson's followers is many of them were young women from middle-class backgrounds.
That's what was horrifying, because it was like the girl next door kind of a thing.
Yeah, so what was going on was you had the hippie culture that was going on, and you had all these preppy girls that were raised to be right and don't be hippie, and so they were fascinated by the hippie counterculture, and they wanted to be a part of it, and that's how Manson recruited them and got them in, said, wouldn't you like to be wild? Ow! And so then they got him in. He pumped them full of amphetamines and hallucinogens like LSD. They're out of their mind. They're living the hippie lifestyle. They got radicalized by his teachings, and then they murdered at least 9 people and may have killed as many as 24.
Damn.
Yeah. So, Charlie Manson's kind of got Steven Tyler vibes, or should I say the other way around? Steven Tyler's got Charlie Manson vibes. Wow! Wow! Wow!
Skibbity bop.
Yeah, just crazy. Just
Scarves.
making sounds.
That's crazy. So, yeah, you look at all these. I mean, we've had many. How many killer cults has America had?
And there's probably cults that you don't even know about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, these are the ones that are making the news, and I don't know if the Zizians are going to get into this stratosphere.
Well,
You don't know about them until they get busted.
I saw a video. It was a video on YouTube, and these cops pull over a van full of all these girls, and something wasn't right, and they start investigating it, and they take all the girls out. They're all dressed in these very weird old-timey dresses, and they figured out that they were in some kind of a cult, and they were transporting the girls to another section of the cult area. Yeah, and they
Creepy.
busted the whole thing, but they would never would have known if they didn't pull that van over. Dang. So shit like that's going on.
It's fascinating stuff, just how people get pulled into these cults. I had a cousin that got into a cult.
Really?
And it was the most bizarre thing because, yeah, he came to the reunion one year, didn't really know him. He lived in Colorado, and he was in charge of like maybe the state's drug education system or something like that of Colorado. Had a prestigious job, had a family and everything, and he was cool as hell. He came, he hung out with my cousin. I'm like, this guy's funny, and he was just, I'm like, he's like the one cool cousin we had. And a couple years later, like going, yeah, he left his family, joined some cult. I'm like, what the hell? And I don't think they ever heard from him again.
When it comes to cults, you make more money as a leader, but have more fun as a follower.
Okay. Is that how it goes?
That's from The Office.
Oh, I got you.
It was a guy who was in a cult, and he's talking. His name was Creed.
Yeah, so it is really weird, and it goes to show, too, I never would have thought that cousin that I'd met would be the kind of person that would wind up in a cult. But it just goes to show you that somehow, whatever they do, they can pull people you wouldn't expect into these things.
I'm glad your cousin didn't try to pull you.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and as far as I know, I don't think he murdered.
Would you rather be a follower or a leader? If you had to go in the cult life, if you had to.
Be the leader. Because
Gotta be the leader.
things don't. The leaders, if anybody ever survives, it's the leaders. I mean, look at Charlie Manson. And
I don't think
he
you're
made it through, and he
psychotic
didn't wind up
enough. I don't think you're twisted enough to be a cult leader.
No, I'm not.
You're not.
But I've got to answer either or, Virginia. I'm posed with this situation.
You're not psychotic. You're not psychotic enough.
but
Yeah.
I know a guy.
Right.
Join my cult. We'd have so much fucking
I think
fun.
I'm already in your fucking
Yeah,
cult.
I know. I think he kind of low key has a cult already going. So, yeah. And you know what? They're adding a lot of weird things to what they do.
We're lieutenants in your
Yeah.
cult.
We
We're
are.
already in it.
Yeah. It's perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's some really weird stuff. So I guess we'll find out what happens with the Zizians. But that is one of the latest.
The Zizians are busyans. They got a lot going on. How do you get all that specific?
Right. That's what I thought too. Is they were kind of rattling off the details of like,
Wait, you have to
why
be
is-
this, you have to be this, you have to be this, and this?
Yeah, which makes you wonder, how do normal people get into these cults? It just doesn't make any sense because it's so bizarre that all those things you're like, okay.
I feel like if you are a leader, you have to do some kind of peacocking move with if you're a male, peacock with your beard or facial hair of sorts. And if you're a woman, I say maybe do something fun with the hair. I don't know. I think you got to peacock the shit out of that position, no?
Yeah, you definitely want to impress and dazzle.
You got to
You gotta be dazzling.
You got to dazzle, yes, to get the followers to do what you want.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Start up a KVJ cult.
Feels so powerful.
What do we wear? What kind of shoes do we have? What is all the bizarre things?
Oh, if I'm in charge, I've got so many outfits for you guys.
Yeah.
We're all wearing pizza dresses.
Absolutely. Oh my
Is that
god.
what
Even
it is?
Kevin.
We can only eat pizza? Is that what this cult's going to be?
Yes.
We already have our headquarters at Jaybird's house. He's been
Oh, my
building his
gosh.
cult shrine for quite a while now.
It definitely looks like an unhinged man lives
I'm
there.
talking about building a tunnel.
You do have almost a cult. Yeah, you got a cave room. I mean, he's building his own compound is what he's doing.
When you realize you're already in a cult with your friend.
That's the goal, is to finish that compound.
Yeah. It's actually, we're sitting here joking about it. It's starting to happen before our very eyes. I'm like, wait, what are we talking? He's got the snack pack already in. He's already got his small following. It's starting to build. Denny's is definitely in it.
Oh, he's an officer.
Oh, yeah.
This feels like a perfect plot for a KVJ horror movie.
I love it, but don't tell me how to write my movies.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to try to insinuate that I know more than the leader.
Sorry, cult leader Birdman.
Sorry, Birdman. Sorry, Birdman.
Oh, man. It's amazing. Well, talking about your weird family members, got some more comments that have come in here talking about weird things you found out about your family on social media that unfortunately you didn't find out from them either in a call, text, or face-to-face. Melissa said, yeah, my uncle's sister never told him that his father died. He found out 3 weeks after he was already dead and had been buried.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it came from a family friend who was upset that my uncle didn't attend the funeral. And he's like, what do you mean my dad's dead? That's how he found out. Somebody's giving him shit
For
about
not being there.
He's like, nobody told me.
Wow, that's pretty low.
Can you imagine that twist?
I don't understand people that do that. Mm-hmm. Why would you ever be so mad at somebody that you would deny them the right to go to their own parents' funeral? You are a fuckface.
It's insane. Yeah, I mean, I might get to it this week, getting so many Am I the Jerk emails, but it's somebody that is in a conundrum, and I'll break it down when I get into the email, but they want to attend, I think it's a baby shower of someone that the whole family's trying to ostracize, and now the family is turning on them simply because they want to attend the baby shower. I'm like, they never did anything to me, and, you know, I've had a friendship with them, and they're like, no, you got to be all in with the rest of the family.
That's a tough place to be in when you don't have beef with somebody,
Yeah.
but one of your inner circle does, and they
Right.
want you to be mad. And you're like, well, I don't, like, it's y'all's beef. My mom was kind of like that. If you didn't fucking hate her
Blood in,
enemy,
blood out kind of thing.
yes, if you
Yeah.
didn't hate her enemy, you were on her shit list.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll probably get to that one on Tuesday. But yeah, that's what she's going through. And just like, you know, I don't want the whole family turning on me too, but I don't want to be a jerk because I don't think they've done anything wrong, or at least they didn't do anything wrong to them.
Being in the middle of that bullshit is rough.
Right. So what do? You know, because you feel kind of like an asshole if you don't want to be uncool to somebody, which you would be if you didn't attend, but then you got the rest of the family that'll turn on you. When maybe in the rest of the family, the ones being dicks.
But that happens.
Right.
When four people can be the dick faces and the one person's not,
Yeah.
that absolutely can happen.
Yeah. So we'll get on that. Try to help them out this week, this Tuesday. Jackie said, talking about not being invited to a family member's event, finding out on social media my whole family invited to my cousin's wedding, family members with children invited. And I think the reason why I wasn't invited, I have 2 autistic daughters.
Oh, damn.
So all the other cousins, everybody else was invited except for them. No reason given. And we're local.
That is some bullshit.
Well, you're not giving her a reason. You're not giving you a reason. You're going to think of all these ideas now in your head. Why wasn't I invited?
Yeah. And I don't think they know for sure. I think they're even just kind of feels like they're throwing that out there.
If that's real, that is way messed up.
Yeah, and they said, you can't pick your family. And yeah, if your family is assholes and dicks, then, look, to me, I think family a lot of times is who you choose. And this whole thing where if I'm born in and if my family was uncool like that, I'd be like, just because we share blood and DNA doesn't mean that we have to have a close relationship here in this world.
No, if you've ostracized me because I have special needs kids,
right,
we're done.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be like, I don't need you guys. Like,
no.
I can have other people that are not DNA matches to me that we can be just as close and feel like family. So I don't need you guys. Yeah, and Nate says it's true. Family doesn't mean blood, and you're right about that. Absolutely. I mean, you look at your Uncle Jerry. Do you have any blood relation to him, Virginia?
No, but he's closer than even some of my family members.
Yeah, so there you go.
You can pick your family.
He's one of your soulmates.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Got an email here from Lynn. Yesterday we were talking about the high costs of rent and all that, and the Breakers apparently is looking into, I think the vote was last night, I didn't hear how it went, but they're looking to buy a property where they can build housing that would be for their employees. And Lynn had said, back in the day, staff used to live on the mezzanine level of the Breakers. In 1982, I had a summer job there, and the old lady I worked for, the activities director, I believe, was one of the last couple people who still lived on property.
Wow. That's amazing.
So maybe they're just reviving a concept that they used to have and say, okay, the times dictate that we should do this again.
Can you imagine working there and living there? That would be sweet.
Yeah. That would be pretty, yeah.
I mean, I've stayed over there before, and I've heard, rumblings of people that talk about people that stay there. And there are some people that go to the Breakers, and they just spend the entire winter there as a guest of the hotel. But it's like their winter residence because they're just that rich.
And here's your final bill. It's $10 million.
It's crazy.
I can only imagine if you stayed there for 3 months, how much that bill would be staying at the Breakers.
It happens a lot.
It's got to be in the millions, right?
I don't know. I don't run in those kind of zeros.
Maybe not millions. That might be.
I don't think millions.
Well, you're probably talking. I mean, if you're there season, you maybe 1,000 a night, something like that.
Oh, more than that. You're talking about rooms that are like
maybe
3,000 a night.
Okay, so
and then they would stay for like a month and a half.
So you're spending 21 grand a week staying there. So 21 times 4. And then times 3.
So let's say that if you stayed, I'll just throw it out there. Let's say you stayed 3 months, 90 days. And it was what, 3,000 a night? You said?
Yeah. Some of the suites and
it's $270,000.
And that's without hookers and drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't do that. They don't do that at Palm Beach. Okay,
that is without your food and all that, which that's going to be extra there. I mean, just because you're staying there, the Breakers don't give you free food.
You're right.
And they don't have that continental buffet.
No, they do not.
No, they don't.
There is no Best Western buffet.
Nope.
You don't wake up and just go get your pancakes and your hot coffee and OJ.
I mean, you can, but it's going to cost you in that circle dining room.
Yeah, so if you do, you're probably looking at a good $400,000 to $500,000.
I did hear of this weird secret room, and I might have brought this up before, where it's kind of like the junk food section of the Breakers for kids and kids' birthday parties. And if you want the good shit, like the stuff I like, your finger foods and your mini corn dog, they have a section there, but not many people know about it. Can you speak about this?
The Italian restaurant is more catered to kids and families. I don't know about a secret menu.
I was thinking about McDonald's.
Yeah, they got a game room, basketball court, and all that kind of stuff by the Italian restaurant, a little playground.
Okay, so they probably have some kid. I just heard that there was this secret. I don't know. You can get awesome, basically stoner food. Stoner food and kid food's the same thing, really.
I'm sure with their kids camp and all that, Breakers Club kids or whatever, they have special kid menus with all that fun stuff on it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't think you're eligible, though. You've aged out of the kids club.
See, I would love to fuck up the kids menu, though.
I know you would.
I would love
You
that.
would have way more fun with the kids menu than the adult menu.
I think a lot of people would. I bet there's some great shit on there.
Yeah.
I have to look that up.
Kathy in Phoenix, she texted in. She said, "Yeah, I wasn't told about my mother's death, and I read her obituary in the newspaper. That was in 2012, and I have not spoken to anyone in my family since."
That is so sad.
You find out about your own mom's death in the obituary.
You wonder why, was there family shit going down? Just did you and your siblings never jive?
Yeah, probably has got to be something along those lines. It's still pretty crazy, though.
Because I'm very fortunate, and so are you, Virginia. We like our siblings.
True.
We love our family and get along with them. Not everyone has that. There's some people I
Right.
know who hate their sister or hate their brother.
You're
They'll never
right.
speak to them again.
I can't imagine. I mean, if my sisters and I weren't good friends and close, I would just be devastated.
It's happened to me throughout my life where, there's a spat and someone doesn't talk for a while. And if you care about your family, it is very heartbreaking because
Yeah.
you don't want to go through life not talking to your family.
Sure. Yeah, I feel for anyone that's got a difficult family that's giving them a lot of grief. It shouldn't be that way. It should be love and support, but not everybody's blessed. And Edwin with a good note here. He said, "I just want to let you know that you can still schedule bike pickups for Jack the Bike Man online, and they'll come pick up the donations. So that's still going on. If you missed the story earlier, it looks like the warehouse for Jack the Bike Man in West Palm Beach, just a little bit north of Belvedere, kind of off Dixie, caught fire today, and it's sustained, it looks like, some pretty substantial damage. So it's too early to assess and know exactly what happened, but we'll try to keep you updated and try to help them out as we can."
What's bizarre is that Denny's and I saw something on fire earlier today, but it was out west. So I don't know. It looked like there was something on fire. It was smoking out of a structure.
You'll probably see a little bit of that. Now, I don't know what caused the Jack the Bike Man fire. I guess we'll get that news here as soon as investigators can take part of it. But yeah, we are starting to get into drought conditions here in South Florida. In fact, I think North Palm Beach County is in severe drought conditions.
Really?
And so when you get to that level, if you remember, it's been a while since we've been that way, but you'll start seeing those fires that just start popping up randomly on the side of the road and whatnot. So, we'll deal with it as well. We don't have what Southern California does, but we do get our own fires
I
here.
have noticed that my grass at my house is starting to look like my hair when I don't condition it. It's getting
Yes.
quite crispy. It's looking like hay out there.
Yeah. So there you go. So that's something to, I guess, be aware of. We might see some random fires starting to pop up here before we get back into the wet season, which we still got a good bit of time before that all goes down. All righty. Can you believe Wednesday's already done? We're just trudging right through the week here.
Woohoo!
That's right, baby. Just 2 days left. Y'all enjoy your Wednesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.